The wind howled across the white plains of Antarctica. Captain James Walker pulled his thermal mask tighter against his face. The cold was brutal, even with his advanced polar gear. He checked the scanner in his hand one more time. The readings made no sense. "Dr. Morgan, are you seeing this?" he called through his radio. Anna Morgan's voice crackled back. "Yes, Captain. Something large is buried about 50 meters below us. It's not ice or rock." The geological survey was supposed to be routine. The team had come to study ice patterns and climate data. No one expected to find anything unusual, especially not something that made their equipment go crazy. "Should we call it in?" asked Tom, the young technician who was helping set up their drilling equipment. Captain Walker shook his head. "Let's find out what we're dealing with first. Anna, can we get a sample?" The small team worked quickly. Their drill, designed to take ice core samples, whirred to life. As it dug deeper, the readings got stronger. The wind picked up, blowing snow around them in a blinding white cloud. At 45 meters down, the drill hit something solid. Not ice, not rock, something else. "Cut the drill!" Dr. Morgan shouted. Her eyes were wide behind her protective goggles. "We've got contact." The team gathered around as they pulled up the drill. At its tip was a small piece of metal unlike anything they had seen before. It was dark gray with faint blue lines running through it. It was room temperature despite being buried in ice for who knows how long. "This isn't possible," Anna whispered, holding the fragment in her gloved hand. "This metal should be freezing cold." Captain Walker took a picture and sent it to their base camp. Within minutes, his satellite phone rang. "Don't touch anything else," ordered the voice on the other. "And A-team is on its way. This is now a classified operation." 3 days later, Captain Walker stood in a hastily built research dome. The small metal fragment had been just the beginning. A massive excavation revealed a structure buried deep in the ice. It wasn't a ship or a building, it was something else. "It's a data storage device," and explained Dr. Morgan as she worked with the international team of scientists that had arrived within hours of their discovery. "From what we can tell, it's at least 5,000 years old, but the technology is far beyond anything we have today." "Alien?" Walker asked the question everyone was thinking. "Without a doubt," answered Dr. Morgan. "And it was left here deliberately for us to find." The room went quiet. The implications were enormous. Humanity was not alone in the universe, and someone had left them a message. General Adams, who had flown in from Washington, cleared his throat. "What does it say?" Dr. Morgan clicked a button on her tablet. A 3D projection appeared in the center of the room. Blue light formed into shapes that slowly came together to form what looked like a massive ship. It was angular and imposing, with what clearly looked like weapons mounted on its hull. "It's a blueprint," she said. "The most advanced spacecraft design ever conceived. But that's not all." She swiped her finger across the tablet, and the image changed to show strange symbols. "We're still translating, but from what we can tell, it's a warning. There's something coming. Something dangerous. And this ship is our only hope of survival." 1 month later, the United Nations Security Council held an emergency closed-door session. Representatives from every major nation sat around a large table, their faces grim. "The translation is complete," announced the Secretary General. "The message warns of an advanced alien civilization called the Dominion. They conquer worlds and strip them of resources. According to the warning, they visit systems every few thousand years. Their next visit to our solar system is due soon." "How soon?" asked the American representative. 3 years, maybe less." The Chinese delegate leaned forward. "And this blueprint, can we build it?" Dr. Morgan, now advising the Security Council, nodded slowly. "With a global effort, yes. The technology is beyond us, but the instructions are very detailed. It's as if whoever left this wanted to make sure we could follow them, even with our limited understanding." "Why would they help us?" asked the Russian delegate, suspicion clear in his voice. "The message mentions that the creators were once victims of the Dominion themselves. They escaped and have been working to help other civilizations defend themselves. They couldn't intervene directly without drawing attention to Earth. The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. Finally, the Secretary General spoke. We need to form a unified Earth Defense Council. This project must transcend all national interests. If we fail, there might not be nations left to defend. 6 months passed. In a secure facility beneath the mountains of Switzerland, the Earth Defense Council met again. The room was filled with screens showing construction progress. The moon facility is nearly complete, reported the project director. It's the only place we can build something this size without detection from Earth. On the main screen, a massive structure was taking shape in a crater on the far side of the moon. It would eventually become Earth's first true warship. What about power? Asked one of the council members. Dr. Morgan stepped forward. We're using the alien technology to develop a new form of fusion. Tests are promising. If successful, the ship will have enough power to operate its main weapon system. Which is? Prompted General Adams. A directed energy weapon capable of destroying a star, Dr. Morgan said quietly. Hence the name Star Destroyer. It's designed as a last resort against the Dominion's main fleet. The council members exchanged nervous glances. The power they were creating was beyond anything humanity had wielded before. We've kept this secret long enough, said the Indian representative. People deserve to know what's coming. Not yet, countered General Adams. Mass panic would only slow our progress. We need more time. As they argued, an alarm sounded. One of the technicians rushed into the room. Sir, the fusion test on the moon just went active. It's creating a gravitational anomaly that's affecting Earth's tides. People are noticing. It's all over the news. On a side screen, news reports showed unusual wave patterns hitting coastlines around the world. Earthquakes were being reported in places that never had them before. The Earth was literally shaking. The Secretary General stood up. It seems the decision has been made for us. Prepare a worldwide address. It's time humanity learned the truth about what lies beyond our world and what we must do to survive. Captain Walker, who had been listening quietly, looked at the blueprint of the massive ship on the screen. In just 2 years, it would need to be ready to face an enemy humanity had never seen. An enemy that had conquered countless worlds before them. But Earth had something those other worlds didn't have: advance warning and the means to fight back. The question was whether it would be enough. 3 massive screens displayed the face of the Secretary General as she addressed the world. Her expression was serious, but calm. Citizens of Earth, today I must share with you a truth that will change our understanding of our place in the universe. 6 months ago, we discovered an alien artifact in Antarctica containing advanced technology and a warning. An aggressive species known as the Dominion is approaching our solar system. They have destroyed countless civilizations before us. She paused, letting the information sink in. But we were given a gift. Blueprints for a defensive weapon unlike anything humanity has ever built. For the past 6 months, the nations of Earth have been working together on the moon to construct this vessel. The recent gravitational disturbances you have experienced were the result of testing its power systems. The screen switched to show the massive construction site on the dark side of the moon. A huge ship was taking shape in a crater, surrounded by work lights and construction equipment. This is Project Earth Shield, our best hope for survival. Tom Reed wiped sweat from his forehead as he studied the holographic display. The ship's power core glowed blue in the simulation, pulsing with energy. The fusion containment is still unstable, he said to Maria Davis, who was typing rapidly at a console nearby. If we can't control it, we'll have another gravity wave incident. The last one nearly caused tsunamis on Earth. Maria nodded without looking up. I've been studying the alien designs. I think we're approaching it wrong. They don't just use magnetic containment. There's something else, something about the geometry of the chamber itself. They worked in the largest laboratory built into the lunar facility. Through the reinforced windows, they could see the massive ship under construction. Even half-finished, it was incredible, over 2 kilometers long with a sharp angular design that reminded Tom of an arrowhead. What if we reshape the chamber like this? Maria suggested, manipulating the hologram. The virtual power core changed shape, becoming more complex with angles and curves that seemed to make no sense. Tom frowned. That breaks every rule of engineering I know. Maybe our rules are wrong, Maria said simply. Against his better judgment, Tom agreed to try her design. They spent 3 days reconfiguring the test chamber, working around the clock as the countdown to the Dominion's arrival continued to tick down. When they activated the new core design, something remarkable happened. The fusion reaction that had been so unstable before suddenly calmed. Energy readings stabilized and then climbed higher than they had ever achieved. "It's working," Maria exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement. "We've done it, Tom." Tom could hardly believe the readings. "This will give us enough power for all systems, including the main weapon." Director Phillips, who oversaw the entire construction project, entered the lab with a rare smile. "Well done, both of you. This is the breakthrough we needed. Now we can accelerate construction." The next 6 months saw the greatest engineering effort in human history. Over 10,000 workers lived on the moon now, working in shifts to complete the massive vessel. The ship had been officially named Thunderbolt, though most workers simply called it Thunder. Captain Walker had been assigned as the liaison between the military and the engineering teams. He stood with Dr. Morgan on an observation platform, watching as massive plates of the special alien alloy were attached to form the ship's outer hull. "Will it be ready in time?" he asked. Dr. Morgan checked her tablet. "At the current pace, we'll be at 85% completion when the Dominion is expected to reach Pluto. It's not ideal, but the essential systems will be operational." Walker nodded. "And the crew?" "Training is ongoing. We're using simulators based on the alien data. Admiral Hayes has been selected to command." Walker had met Hayes once, a tough, experienced naval officer who had been quickly promoted to admiral specifically to lead this mission. The crew would be the best of the best from every nation on Earth. "Look," Dr. Morgan said suddenly, pointing to the ship. The first of the main weapon arrays was being installed. Even unfinished, it looked fearsome. According to the blueprints, when fully powered, it could create a beam of energy so powerful it could destabilize a star's core, causing it to collapse. The ultimate deterrent. "Let's hope we never have to use it," Walker said quietly. 2 years after the discovery in Antarctica, Thunderbolt was nearly complete. Its silver-gray hull gleamed in the harsh lunar sunlight. Test flights of smaller components had been successful, but the main engines had not yet been fired. In the control center, Tom and Maria prepared for the first full power test. "All systems are green," Maria reported. "Fusion core is stable at 60% capacity." Director Phillips gave the order, "Proceed with engine test. Low power only." Tom activated the sequence. On the main viewer, they could see the massive engine ports at the rear of Thunderbolt beginning to glow blue. Energy readings climbed steadily. 40% thrust capacity. 45%. 50%, Maria called out. Suddenly, alarms began to sound. The readings jumped unexpectedly. "What's happening?" demanded Phillips. Tom's fingers flew over the controls. "The alien algorithms are overriding our limiters. The system is increasing power automatically." "Shut it down," Phillips shouted. "I can't," Tom replied, genuine fear in his voice. "It's locked us out." On the screen, the engines flared brilliantly. The entire ship shuddered and then impossibly began to rise from its construction cradle. Massive clamps and support structures broke away. "It's not supposed to move yet," Maria cried. "The navigation systems aren't even installed." But Thunderbolt was moving, rising slowly above the lunar surface. The control room fell silent as they watched the impossible happening before their eyes. Then, just as suddenly as it had started, the engines cut off. Thunderbolt settled back into its cradle with surprising gentleness. The computers came back online, and a message appeared on the main screen in both alien symbols, and translated English, diagnostic, complete. Primary systems. Functional, ready for crew integration. Tom and Maria exchanged confused looks. "Did it just test itself?" Tom asked. Before anyone could answer, another alarm sounded. This one was different, an incoming communication from Earth. The main screen changed to show General Adams, his face grim. "We've detected objects entering the solar system at high speed," he announced without preamble. "They've just passed Neptune. Based on their trajectory and speed, they'll reach Mars in 3 days." Phillips paled. "The Dominion. They're early." "Get Thunderbolt ready," ordered General Adams. "Ready or not, it's time to fight." As the control room burst into frantic activity, Dr. Morgan stood quietly by the window, looking at the massive ship. It seemed to her that Thunderbolt wasn't just a weapon they had built. It was almost as if it had awakened, and just in time. Humanity's first, and perhaps only battle for survival, was about to begin. Admiral Robert Hayes stood on the bridge of Thunderbolt, his face illuminated by the blue glow of the command console. Around him, crew members worked at their stations with focused intensity. Though the ship was only 80% complete, it had been pressed into service ahead of schedule. "Status report," Hayes ordered, his voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. "6 Dominion vessels have established position around Pluto," reported the sensor officer, a young woman named Lisa. "They appear to be setting up some kind of base." Hayes studied the tactical display. The alien ships were smaller than Thunderbolt but moved with a precision that suggested advanced technology. "What about Mars Colony?" he asked. Captain Walker, who had been assigned as Hayes's second-in-command, checked his console. "All non-essential personnel have been evacuated. The remaining 200 colonists are in the underground shelters." Hayes nodded. Mars Colony had been humanity's first permanent settlement off Earth, a symbol of their expansion into the solar system. Now it might become the first battleground in an interspecies war. "Time to launch?" Hayes asked. "Final system checks complete in 30 minutes, Admiral," answered Tom Reed, who had been assigned as chief engineer. He looked exhausted but determined. "We're loading the last of the crew and supplies now." Hayes turned to Dr. Morgan, who stood nearby reviewing data on a tablet. "Doctor, what can you tell me about these ships?" Anna Morgan looked up. "Based on the warning we received, these are scout vessels. Their job is to prepare for the arrival of the main fleet. The good news is they're not expecting resistance. The civilizations they've encountered before didn't have time to prepare." "Then we have surprise on our side," Hayes said. "Let's use it." 28 minutes later, alarms blared throughout the lunar base. "Emergency launch," came the announcement over the speakers. "All personnel clear the docking area." Inside Thunderbolt's engine room, Maria Davis worked frantically to stabilize the power systems. "We're pushing the fusion core beyond tested limits," she warned Tom over the communication link. "I can't guarantee it will remain stable under combat conditions." "Do your best," Tom replied from the engineering deck. "We don't have a choice." On the bridge, Hayes received the report that changed everything. "Admiral, 3 Dominion vessels have broken formation and are heading toward Mars at high speed." Hayes didn't hesitate. "Launch now. All stations, prepare for combat." The massive clamps holding Thunderbolt in place released with thunderous clangs that echoed through the hull. The engines came to life, glowing with blue-white energy. The ship rose smoothly from the lunar surface and accelerated toward Mars with a speed that defied its enormous size. "Estimated arrival at Mars, 43 minutes, reported the navigation officer. Hayes nodded. "Faster than any Earth vessel has ever traveled, but I hope it's fast enough." Mars grew larger on the main view screen. Its red surface was marred by the white domes of the human colony. 3 Dominion ships hovered above the largest settlement. "They're deploying something," Lisa reported, studying her sensors. "Energy readings suggest weapons charging." "Bring us out of stealth mode," Hayes ordered. "Full power to shields and weapons." Thunderbolt dropped its energy cloaking as it entered Mars orbit. On the Dominion ships, lights suddenly flared as they detected the massive human vessel appearing seemingly from nowhere. "They're turning to engage," Walker reported. Hayes stood. "Open a channel." After a moment, the view screen changed to show a figure that sent chills through everyone on the bridge. The alien was humanoid, but with gray skin that seemed almost metallic. Its eyes were large and completely black, with no visible pupils. "Attention, Dominion vessels," Hayes said firmly. "This is Admiral Robert Hayes of the Earth defense ship Thunderbolt. You are trespassing in Earth-controlled space. Withdraw immediately." The alien's head tilted slightly. When it spoke, its voice was translated by the ship's computers into a flat, emotionless tone. "Unexpected. This system was cataloged as pre-spaceflight civilization. Your level of technology is inconsistent." "We had help," Hayes replied simply. "I won't repeat my warning. Leave our system now." The alien's expression didn't change. "Negative. This system has been claimed for resource extraction. Your resistance is noted but irrelevant." The transmission cut off abruptly. "They're powering weapons," Lisa shouted. "Evasive maneuvers," Hayes ordered. "Return fire, defensive pattern alpha." Thunderbolt moved with surprising agility for its size, banking away as green energy beams lanced out from the lead Dominion ship. The few hits that connected were absorbed by the ship's shields. "Shields holding at 92%, reported Walker. Hayes nodded. "Target the leftmost vessel. Fire main batteries." Thunderbolt's conventional weapons, massive railguns and energy cannons, opened fire. The barrage struck the Dominion ship, causing visible damage to its hull. "Direct hit," Walker exclaimed. "Their shields are down." But the Dominion ships were quick to respond. They spread out, coordinating their attack with a precision that spoke of vast combat experience. Energy beams crisscrossed space, many finding their mark on Thunderbolt's hull. "Shields at 67%, Walker updated. "They're targeting our weapons arrays." In the engine room, Maria worked frantically as systems overloaded around her. "The power core is becoming unstable," she called to Tom. "We need to reduce weapon output." Tom relayed this to the bridge, but Hayes shook his head. "We can't back down now. Divert emergency power to shields and weapons." The battle intensified. Thunderbolt managed to cripple a second Dominion ship, but the third proved more elusive. It darted around the human vessel, striking at vulnerable points. "Hull breach in Section 14, called out the damage control officer. "Emergency teams responding." Hayes gripped the railing of the command platform. "Where's that emergency? Power, Mr. Reed." Tom's voice came back strained. "Working on it, Admiral. Maria is attempting to modify the core geometry to increase output." Suddenly, a new alarm sounded. "Sir!" Lisa called out, her voice tight with urgency. "3 more Dominion ships are approaching from Pluto." Hayes exchanged a grim look with Walker. They couldn't fight 3 more ships in their current condition. Just then, Tom's voice came over the comm. "Admiral, Maria did it. We have access to the secondary power grid. It was locked behind some kind of alien encryption, but the ship, it seems to have granted us access." "The ship?" Hayes questioned. "I can't explain it, sir. It's like it recognized our need." Hayes didn't have time to contemplate this mystery. "Route the power to the main weapon system. It's time to see what this Star Destroyer can really do." On the bridge, panels lit up that had previously been dark. A new targeting system appeared on the main screen, highlighting the approaching Dominion ships. "Main weapon charged and ready," Walker reported, sounding surprised at how quickly it had happened. Hayes took a deep breath. "Target the lead ship and fire." A pulse of energy gathered at the front of Thunderbolt, building quickly, to a blinding intensity. Then it released in a concentrated beam that cut through space toward the Dominion vessel. When it struck, the effect was immediate and devastating. The Dominion ship didn't just break apart. It seemed to fold in on itself, crushed by forces beyond human understanding. The remaining Dominion ships immediately changed course, accelerating away from Mars at maximum speed. "They're retreating," Walker said, his voice filled with disbelief. Hayes nodded slowly. "But they'll be back, and next time, they'll be prepared. For us." He turned to his communications officer. "Send word to Earth. Tell them we've won the first battle, but the war has just begun." As the crew cheered around him, Hayes looked at the tactical display showing the retreating Dominion ships. They were heading back toward the outer solar system, back toward what he assumed was a larger force waiting beyond. Humanity had scored its first victory. But at what cost? And would they be ready when the Dominion returned in force? The repair crews worked day and night to fix Thunderbolt's damaged systems. The battle against the Dominion scouts had taken its toll. Scorch marks marred the once pristine hull, and several sections remained sealed off due to hull breaches. Admiral Hayes stood in the observation lounge watching as space-suited workers moved across the ship's exterior, welding new plates into place. Captain Walker entered quietly and stood beside him. "Damage report, Captain?" Hayes asked without turning. "Repairs are at 68%, Walker replied. "Tom believes we can be fully operational in 3 more days." Hayes nodded. "And our casualties?" Walker's face fell. 17 dead, 43 injured. Medical says most of the injured will recover fully. The first battle had been won, but at a cost. Hayes had written 17 letters to families back on Earth, explaining how their loved ones had died protecting humanity. It was a burden he carried heavily. "New intelligence from deep space probes," Walker continued, handing Hayes a tablet. "Dr. Morgan wants to brief you immediately." In the Strategic Command Center, Dr. Morgan had transformed the room into a 3D map of the solar system and beyond. Small lights indicated the position of Earth forces and the known locations of Dominion ships. "The scouts have retreated beyond Neptune," she began as Hayes entered. "But they're sending constant transmissions toward this area of space." She pointed to a region far beyond Pluto. "What's out there?" Hayes asked. "Based on the data from the alien warning and what our long-range sensors can detect, we believe this is the location of the Dominion's main fleet." Morgan adjusted the display, showing a massive concentration of ships. "And this," she continued, highlighting one enormous signal, "appears to be their flagship. We're calling it Oblivion." Hayes studied the display. "How big?" "At least 3 times the size of Thunderbolt," Morgan answered grimly. "And according to the warning left for us, it carries a weapon capable of destabilizing a planet's core. They've used it before to destroy civilizations that resisted." The room fell silent as this information sank in. "Time until they reach Earth?" Hayes finally asked. "At their current speed, 4 weeks. But now that they know we have advanced technology, they'll be cautious. They might send more scouts first." Hayes nodded slowly, his mind racing through options. "They know we have one weapon that can match them. They'll be prepared for it next time." "Which is why we need to surprise them again," said Morgan. "Admiral, I've been studying the propulsion systems more deeply. There's something we missed." She tapped on her tablet and a new set of schematics appeared on the main display. "The ship isn't just designed for conventional space travel. There's a system here that I believe is meant for faster-than-light travel." Hayes looked skeptical. "FTL? That's impossible according to our physics, and our physics, yes. But whoever left us these blueprints clearly had a different understanding of the universe." Morgan highlighted a section of the ship they hadn't yet fully activated. "This appears to be a wormhole generator. In theory, it could create a temporary passage through space-time." Tom Reed, who had joined them silently, stepped forward. "Maria and I discovered some unusual components in the drive system that didn't make sense for normal propulsion. This could explain them." Hayes looked between them. "Are you suggesting we could jump beyond our solar system? Attack them before they reach Earth?" "Theoretically, yes," Morgan answered. "But it would be incredibly risky. We haven't tested the system and we don't fully understand it." Hayes was quiet for a long moment. "Prepare a briefing for Earth Command. I want all the data on this FTL, capability, and an assessment of our chances." The Earth Defense Council meeting was tense. On screens around the room, leaders from every major nation watched as Admiral Hayes presented the plan. "A preemptive strike against the Dominion flagship could cripple their command structure," he explained. "If we wait for them to reach Earth, we'll be fighting their entire fleet in our own backyard." "This is madness," argued the Russian representative. "You're talking about sending our only defense on a suicide mission." "With respect," Hayes countered, "we're talking about taking the fight to them instead of waiting to be slaughtered." The debate continued for hours. Finally, the Secretary General called for a vote. By a narrow margin, the mission was approved. 3. Days later, Thunderbolt's repairs were complete. The crew had been given one last day to contact their families before departing. No one said it out loud, but everyone knew it might be their final goodbye. On the bridge, Hayes took his command chair. All stations report. One by one, each section confirmed readiness. Engineering reports the wormhole generator is online, Tom announced from his station. Maria has reconfigured the power systems to handle the load. Hayes nodded. Navigator, set course for the coordinates Dr. Morgan provided. Course set, Admiral. Hayes took a deep breath. Activate the wormhole generator. Tom initiated the sequence. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then slowly a blue glow began to emanate from the front of the ship. Space itself appeared to bend and distort. Energy readings are off the charts, Lisa called from the sensor station. Something's forming ahead. On the main view screen, they watched as space tore open, forming a swirling tunnel of blue-white. Energy. Wormhole stable, Tom reported, though his voice betrayed his amazement. It's actually working. Take us in, Hayes ordered, half thrust. Thunderbolt moved forward, approaching the wormhole's entrance. As the ship entered the swirling vortex, vibrations shook the entire vessel. Lights flickered, and several systems went offline temporarily. Hull integrity holding, Walker reported. We're inside the wormhole. Through the view screen, they could see nothing but swirling energy patterns. The ship continued forward, shaking violently as it traveled through the fabric of space-time itself. Then suddenly the vibrations stopped. The blue-white energy disappeared and they emerged into normal space. Location? Hayes demanded. Lisa worked her console frantically. Checking stars against database. Sir, we're approximately 40 light-years from Earth. The jump worked. A cheer went up from the bridge crew, but Hayes quickly restored order. Stealth systems online, passive sensors only. Let's see what's out here. As the sensors began to scan, the crew fell silent. On the view screen, they could see a massive fleet of Dominion ships gathered around a central world. And at the center of the fleet was the largest vessel any of them had ever seen. Oblivion, Hayes whispered. Admiral, Lisa called, her voice tense. I'm detecting something else. Other ships, but with different energy signatures than the Dominion vessels. They appear to be under attack. Dr. Morgan moved to the sensor station. These readings, they match descriptions from the warning. I think these are ships from other civilizations that the Dominion has conquered. Can we communicate with them? Hayes asked. Morgan nodded slowly. Maybe. The warning contained communication protocols. If some of these species are the ones who left us the blueprints, do it, Hayes ordered. Carefully. Encoded channel only. As Morgan worked to establish contact, Hayes studied the massive Dominion fleet. They had come to launch a preemptive strike, but now faced a force far larger than intelligence had suggested. Sir, called the communications officer, we're receiving a response to Dr. Morgan's signal. Audio only. Put it through, Hayes ordered. A voice spoke in a strange musical language that the ship's computer quickly translated. Unknown vessel, you are not Dominion. Identify yourselves. Hayes nodded to Morgan, who replied, We are from Earth. We've come to fight the Dominion. There was a pause, then, Earth? The protected world? You were not meant to join this fight for many cycles yet. Hayes took over. We had no choice. The Dominion found us. We built the weapon you left for us. Another long pause. Then perhaps there is hope after all. We are the Resistance, and you have arrived just in time. The meeting chamber aboard the Resistance flagship was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. The ceiling curved in impossible angles, and the walls seemed to shimmer with a soft blue light. Around a large circular table sat representatives from 6 different alien species. Some looked almost human, while others were completely different in form. Admiral Hayes, Captain Walker, Dr. Morgan, and Tom Reed represented Earth. They sat quietly, As the leader of the resistance, a tall being with silvery skin named Talon explained their situation. The Dominion has ruled this sector of the galaxy for over 10,000 years, Talon said, his translator converting his musical language to English. They find developing worlds, harvest their resources, and enslave their populations. Those who resist are destroyed. How have you managed to fight them for so long? Hayes asked. A smaller alien with 4 arms gestured to the hologram in the center of the table. We hide. We strike when possible. But we have never had a weapon that could truly threaten their command ship. Dr. Morgan leaned forward. The blueprints you left on Earth. Why us? Talon's expression changed in a way that suggested a smile. Your world was special. Your species develops quickly, adapts, solves problems in unique ways. We left similar blueprints on 100 worlds. Only Earth managed to build the weapon, in time. And now you want us to use it against Oblivion, Hayes stated. Talon nodded. The Dominion fleet is preparing to depart for your solar system. The main ship carries a weapon that can destroy planets. If they reach Earth. We understand, Hayes said firmly. But Thunderbolt is just one ship. Even with its main weapon, we can't take on their entire fleet. The 4-armed alien who introduced himself as Mira brought up a new hologram. We have a plan. Our combined fleet can create a diversion. While their forces are engaged with us, Thunderbolt can approach Oblivion from this trajectory. A line appeared on the hologram showing a path through the Dominion fleet. It's risky, Walker observed. Everything about this mission is risky, Captain, Hayes replied. He studied the plan for a moment, then nodded. We'll do it. When do we attack? The Dominion ships are scheduled to begin their journey toward Earth in 6 hours, Talon answered. We strike before they depart. Back aboard Thunderbolt, Hayes addressed the crew through the ship-wide communication system. Men and women of Earth, today we fight not just for our world, but for all worlds threatened by the Dominion. We are outmatched and far from home, but we have one advantage. They don't expect us to be here. They don't expect us to have allies. He paused. Some of us may not return from this mission, but those who do will tell Earth that when humanity faced its greatest challenge, we did not hide. We stood and fought. In the engine room, Maria worked frantically with Tom to prepare the ship's systems for battle. The main weapon drained almost all our power when we used it against one ship, Maria said, concern clear in her voice. How are we supposed to take down something the size of Oblivion? Tom looked thoughtful. What if we overload the core? Channel. Everything we have, life support, shields, everything, into one massive burst? That would destroy the ship, Maria protested. Maybe, Tom admitted, but it might be our only chance to destroy Oblivion. 3 hours later, the combined fleet of resistance ships moved into position. Thunderbolt, with its advanced stealth systems, held back, waiting for the diversion to begin. On the bridge, Hayes watched as the first wave of resistance fighters attacked the outer perimeter of the Dominion fleet. Explosions flashed in the darkness of space as the battle began. Dominion ships are responding to the attack, Lisa reported from her sensor station. Their defensive line is moving to engage. Hayes nodded. Hold position. Wait for the opening. The battle intensified. The resistance ships were smaller and more agile, but the Dominion vessels had superior firepower. For every Dominion ship disabled, 2 resistance craft were destroyed. Sir, Walker said quietly, at this rate, the resistance will be wiped out before we get our shot. Hayes knew he was right. Prepare to move in, maximum stealth. Thunderbolt glided forward, its advanced cloaking systems making it nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. They passed within kilometers of Dominion cruisers engaged in battle, undetected. We're approaching Oblivion, the navigator announced. 2 minutes to weapons range. Hayes opened a channel to engineering. Mr. Reed, status of the main weapon? Tom's voice came back tense. Ready, Admiral. But as we discussed, I've modified the firing sequence. Once initiated, we'll have 5 minutes before the core overloads. Understood. Hayes turned to Walker. Prepare evacuation protocols. Once we fire, I want all non-essential personnel to the escape pods. Suddenly, alarms blared. "We've been detected," Lisa called out. "Dominion ships are breaking off to intercept us." "Time to weapons range?" Hayes demanded. 90 seconds, but we'll have company before then." Hayes made his decision. "All power to engines. Get us to firing position." Thunderbolt surged forward, abandoning stealth for speed. Energy beams from Dominion ships lanced toward them, some finding their mark. "Shields at 60%, Walker reported. "Taking heavy damage on decks 4 through 7. The massive form of Oblivion grew larger on the view screen. It was a terrifying sight. A ship the size of a small moon bristling with weapons. "Weapons range in 15 seconds, the tactical officer called. Another hit rocked the ship. "Hull, breach in engineering," someone shouted. Hayes opened the channel again. "Tom, status?" There was no response. "Engineering report," Hayes demanded. Finally, Maria's voice came through, shaking and distant. "Tom's been injured, Admiral. The breach. He's trying to stabilize the core manually." Hayes felt a cold fear grip him. "Can you fire the main weapon?" "Yes, but someone needs to stay and manage the overload sequence. The system is damaged. It needs manual control." Before Hayes could respond, Tom's voice cut in, weak but determined. "I've got it, Admiral. Get the ship to firing position. I'll handle the rest." In that moment, Hayes knew what Tom was planning. "Mr. Reed?" "It's the only way, sir. The system won't hold. Someone has to stay and make sure the power flows correctly." There was a pause. "It's been an honor." Hayes closed his eyes briefly. "The honor is ours, Mr. Reed." He turned to the tactical officer. "Target Oblivion's command center. Fire when ready." Thunderbolt's main weapon began to charge, drawing power from every system on the ship. Lights dimmed and non-essential systems shut down automatically. "Dominion ships closing in," Walker warned. 30 seconds until they're in range." "They're too late," Hayes said quietly. "Fire." The massive energy beam erupted from Thunderbolt, more powerful than before. It cut through space and struck Oblivion, directly in its command section. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, cracks of bright energy began to spread across the massive ship's hull. In engineering, Tom worked at a damaged console, manually routing power to maintain the beam. Blood trickled from a wound on his forehead, but his hands moved steadily. As the power levels reached critical, he opened a channel to the bridge one last time. "It's working, Admiral. The reaction is building. Get everyone out now." Hayes gave the order. "All hands to escape pods. Evacuate immediately." He turned to Walker. "Captain, get everyone off the bridge." "What about you, sir?" "I'll be right behind you. Go." As the bridge crew evacuated, Hayes watched the view screen. Oblivion was breaking apart, secondary explosions cascading along its length. Around it, Dominion. Ships were falling into disarray. Hayes opened a final channel to engineering. "Tom, if you can hear me, your sacrifice won't be forgotten. Earth will know what you did here today." There was no response, but Hayes liked to think that Tom heard him. The Admiral took one last look at the bridge of humanity's first Star Destroyer, then made his way to the last escape pod. 3 weeks later, a small fleet of ships emerged from a wormhole near Earth. Leading them was a battered resistance vessel carrying Admiral Hayes, Captain Walker, Dr. Morgan, and the surviving crew of Thunderbolt. Behind them came ships of the Resistance, representatives of civilizations that had fought the Dominion for generations. They had come to meet Earth, to welcome humanity into the greater galactic community. As they approached Earth, Hayes stood by a viewport watching his home planet grow larger. "Was it worth it?" Dr. Morgan asked, joining him. Hayes thought of Tom Reed and the others who had given their lives. He thought of Thunderbolt, Earth's first Star Destroyer, now gone but not forgotten. "Yes," he said finally. "We're free. And we're not alone anymore." On the view screen, a message appeared from Earth Command. "Welcome home, heroes." And behind that message was the image of a new ship under construction in Earth orbit. Larger, more powerful, and built with the combined knowledge of Earth and its new allies. The second Star Destroyer was taking shape, ready to defend not just Earth, but all free worlds in the galaxy.